Hey everybody. So I'm deciding to try to do a new process with my discussion board to stay on time and on target with the assignments. So anyway, here goes. I am answering the questions for this week's discussion board on performativity and performative. I think the distinctions for me that jump out between the two, one, Butler's process seems to be very much about words and about those words being able to be understood in the particular context through which they refer an action. I know he uses the phrase or the scenario about being at a wedding and saying "I do," which describes the action one is to perform or to undertake. Another thing I think of course, in this climate, is a police officer saying you're under arrest as a particular performative, but it's the words and the context in which the words are spoken that performs an action or requires something to be done. Within the same context, if I were to say you're under arrest to my students, I don't have the power or the authority to perform the action. Therefore, it doesn't work. There's action that's required, but I don't have the power. So the other thing that jumps out to me, which I just said twice, is also power, and that determines a performative too, if there is a certain particular power at play. Performativity, to me, from Butler, seems to be different in the sense of that it is about the way we think about the situation. Not necessarily what we do, but that our behavior is constructed by the thoughts and actions that we've had about a particular thing. So in talking about gender, the way that we ascribe whether to give a boy a blue colored outfit versus giving a girl a pink colored outfit and doing that action has to do with the way that we're socially conditioned and constructed to believe or assign value to different genders. And so the behavior, and both of them are behavioral, that's a similarity between the two of them, but that behavior we do is already implanted in our being. But gender performativity specifically is also formulated through a bunch of different intersecting factors, identity being one, social norms being another, whereas performative words or performative utterances only have to do with the construction of those words and the power vested in somebody to actually perform that action, like a choreographer would say, I'll give you 8 counts of 10 or 10 counts of 3, right? And of course, there's a power from choreographer to dancer, and there's an action being implied. I think that answers the first question. I think in terms of the second question about Austin dismissing stage performance, what comes to mind is, again, the context, right? So if I am a performer performing someone else's work, I am not necessarily in the right context to bring truth to it because it's not my experience. It's not a direct experience that I have. It's a made up one. And Austin gets into a lot of this with abuses and misuses and asks us to suspend our understanding of those literary words. But in this case, the context in which I need to understand something isn't one that as the actor or performer on stage I have experience, and therefore it's not a direct performative. In terms of dance, I think where this changes for me or where it challenges, where this overlaps would be in works by sole choreographers who formulate the idea and also perform the idea. And one work I think about instantly is Martha Graham's Lamentation, where Lamentation is conceived by Martha as a work of sorrow in which she's internally have the feeling of stretching out her skin, which becomes the visual representation. So she has the context having lived it, and she is performing exactly what she is intending to come across. And 9 times out of 10 from reviews, audiences understand what it is she's saying. And so in that context, there's a direct communication about intentionality and the action being performed. And it doesn't need to be assumed or reproduced by someone else who didn't live it. And so I think a work like that extends his argument in terms of dance doing something, or theater doing something, directly when it comes from a first person singular point of view, where the choreographer, the director, or the musician wrote the lyrics, created the work, and performed it as a communicative device to the audience. I think, I'm sorry, I'm just reading the question to make sure. Okay, Butler and performativity and Miley Cyrus. What jumps out to me here again is power, and I'm not sure why power keeps jumping out, but I think there are a couple things initially when I noticed Miley Cyrus enter the stage. Like, she already has preconceived ideas about female gender that come across right away, even though she doesn't personally have it, which is weird. Like, her very first gesture is like combing out long hair, or fake combing out long hair, where she has a short crop cut, or making all sorts of sexual gestures, being scantily clad, more revealing, which is directly juxtaposed when Robin Thicke comes out to do Blurred Lines, where he's fully clothed, not showing hardly any skin. And so there's this access of power that's also there, in the sense that Miley Cyrus is the star of it, in addition to her background dancers and singers who are fully clothed. So she wants the attention on her, and so she reveals or uses her gender, or her ideas about female gender, to get more attention on herself, and using these gestures that she considers hyper feminine, which are all like the sexual references, especially in relationship to lyrics of songs about gender, about female power. Then she puts the mic or her hand near her crotch, or she starts to twerk, or her background dancers does a lot of this hair combing thing. The background dancers have fake ponytails that are braided. All of them are, the three of them are black, the three lead ones. And so that's my thought on how she's constructing gender in relationship to Butler's argument about gender reality being performative. And the reality is we're always constructing that based on these preconceived ideas about what it is to be masculine or feminine, or male or female, that doesn't have anything to do with the sex organs we're born with. So yeah, I look forward to your questions and your concerns and all of that good stuff. And I am going to now respond. All right, bye.